How are we, GameLeapers? I'm Coach Eagz, and in this video you're going to learn how to win lane in 3 minutes as an ADC. I'm going to give you guys 3 tips that will make sure you stomp your lane. These include early aggression, positioning, and using your summoner spells to their full potential. Because he's such a strong champion at the moment, we've decided to show you gameplay of HLE's Viper playing Jhin. Viper is a professional ADC who is currently rank 1 1500 LP on the Korean ladder. Be sure to leave a like, subscribe for more informative content, and check out GameLeap.com, the leading source for educational league content. Tip number 1. Pushing the first wave. Using your abilities and auto attacks on the first wave guarantees level 2. This is important because it gives you a massive advantage in lane. It's not just good for you as Jhin, but also for your support. As soon as you hit level 2, your kill pressure goes through the roof, especially in lower elos of play. Your lane has 2 extra cooldowns and better innate stats because of the level up. You will also have the bigger minion wave because you're killing the enemy creeps quicker than they're killing yours. So, if a fight breaks out, your minion wave will deal more damage than the opponent's wave. So how do you push the wave? If the enemy bot lane is in lane when the first wave collides, you and auto attack the first melee minion. This ensures your lane will push unless the enemy ADC matches with use their own ability and auto attack. Once the push is established, meaning you have either more minions or healthier minions, stand on top of your minions. This will give you opportunities to harass the enemy ADC and support when they move up. But don't push the wave harder. This will mean that the enemy AD carry is closer to their tower and therefore safer. In this situation, Jhin has the bigger wave and can afford to trade with Ashe. He damages Ashe and holds on to his 4th shot to zone Ashe from the CS. Notice how he only uses it on the CS when he wants to last hit. He cues the back wave to try get the bounce on Ashe. Because this is Korean Challenger, Ashe and Sett play safe and have time to do a few exercises, but in low elo the Ashe will headbutt your Thresh, guarantee it, and you pick up a free kill. The enemy Ashe and Thresh are in lane, so Jhin, same as the first example, instantly cues and auto attacks the first melee creep. Ashe isn't in a position to match Jin's shove and has to back off. In low elo, the ADC and the support won't be aware of the advantage you have and will give you and your support opportunities to capitalize on their mistakes. In this instance, there has been a level 1 fight, but the same principles apply. Jhin guarantees the advantage by auto-attacking and queuing the minions. Because Jhin and Pantheon pose such a threat level 2, with Pantheon's point and click stun and Jin's W, the enemy Leona and Aphelios retreat, and in some situations might have to give up a few CS to survive the threat. In lower levels of play, however, they won't be aware of you and Pantheon hitting level 2 off the 3rd melee minion of the 2nd wave, and will feed you kills. When the enemy bot lane returns to lane after leashing, you don't need to expend mana to push the wave, so auto-attack the first 3 melee creeps and hold on to Q. The reason Sett softens up the backline is because Karma's level 1 push is very strong. This simply negates that. Here we see an example of how strong Jhin is combined with a support like Sett. Make sure you time your W with the CC, and I can assure you guys in your games you will get kills, not just summoner spells. Tip number 2, the diagonal line. Now I know you're asking WTF is that, bro, and it's a great question. The diagonal line is a theory I teach to ADC students regarding their positioning. The best players in the world, whether they know it or not, are always positioning based on the reason I'm about to tell you. All I did was put a name to it. As an ADC, you never want to be headbutting a Thresh, Braum, or in this case a Leona. Why is that? Because you might die, obviously. You also don't want to stand close enough to them so they can easily engage on you at later levels. So, how do we deal with both situations? Let's freeze it. Let's place a dot in the middle of the lane. I'm then going to draw a line from Thresh through the dot until it reaches Jhin. And here we have it, the diagonal line. Now, this may not be as groundbreaking as the Coca-Cola formula, but it is one of the essential building blocks to becoming a great ADC. Standing away from the danger in a diagonal position. Jhin placing himself on the opposite side of the lane to Thresh nullifies his threat and keeps Jhin safe. The number of students I've had in low elo who essentially ask the Blitzcrank to hook them is astonishing, but by applying this theory you will die a lot less in lane. Because you will be alive more, your stats will improve. More time on map means more CS, more kills, more assists, and less deaths. Now, this doesn't have to apply all the time. Sometimes your minion wave alone protects you from champions like Thresh and Blitzcrank, who are common picks in gold and silver. In this example, we see Viper hovering behind his ranged minions, knowing Thresh can't do anything. He can still CS safely, and more often than not, the opposing Thresh or Blitzcrank will try to land a 1 in a million hook so they can make an appearance on Synapse. What they are really doing is wasting their cooldown, and in turn giving you an opportunity to return fire. The lane resets on wave 4, and Sett decides to go in. Remember, still apply the diagonal line theory even in fights. Jhin is behind the minions the entire time, giving Thresh no chance of turning the fight around. He gets chunked as a result, and in the ensuing minutes Jhin and Sett have complete control of the lane. When you have the upper hand, guys just last at the minions and zone the enemy. They lose gold and potentially experience. Let's see if Jhin does the same thing this game against Leona and Aphelios. The threat is Leona. Notice when Leona controls the bottom middle brush, Jhin is even higher in the lane, reacting to Leona's positioning and maintaining that diagonal. Leona's level 1 is pretty useless of course, but you never want to risk getting caught for no reason. Because Jhin has created and maintained space between him and Leona, he can start to harass her for free when she moves up. This is a great example of applying both tips. Jhin and Panth have the push and the bigger wave, Jhin's positioning himself along a diagonal, and in low elo the Leona and Aphelios will probably try to fight you. You win every fight if this happens. On to our next example. Zed is the one to watch. When he's hugging the bottom half of the lane, Jhin positions himself on the top half. Remember, diagonals are longer than straight lines, but if Jhin and Thresh were to swap positions, Jhin is actually closer to the threat. The only way Zed is able to engage onto Jhin is if he flashes, but Jhin and Thresh can easily retaliate and there's no legit kill pressure until Ashe is level 6. Let's fast forward a little and pause it. What's Jin's mistake? He's positioning himself in range of Zed's engage. Where should he be standing? Where Thresh is, right? When the enemy support is in fog of war, do not headbutt them. Stay on that diagonal. Jhin doesn't, and loses out significantly in the subsequent trade. He learns his lesson and maintains the diagonal during the next wave. There's no engage from Zed, and this is a good thing. It means you're staying safe. The wave pushes into them and they can stall it in this position for the next wave. Tip number 3. Choosing and using the correct summoner spells. A lot of ADCs in low elo either run the wrong set of summoner spells and don't know how to use them, or run the correct set of summoner spells and still don't know how to use them. In the first 3 minutes of a game, there is almost always going to be a fight bot lane, whether it's a 2v2 or a jungler ganking, so knowing when to time summoners is very important. In lanes with hard CC, like Leona, Thresh, Set, Viper runs Flash Cleanse. As Jhin, you are vulnerable when you get initiated on. Cleanse gives us security into those dangerous supports. Viper uses Cleanse both aggressively and defensively early on. When using your Flash and Cleanse after you get engaged on, try to use them as late as possible. In some cases you will have to use Cleanse straight away because the enemy jungler is ganking and you need to escape immediately, but holding onto your summoners can bait the enemy laners into overextending. In this lane, Jhin has executed tip number 1, pushing, and also tip number 2, the diagonal line. So when Leona engages onto him, he's still in a relatively safe position. He doesn't have to immediately flash and cleanse because Aphelios can't follow up. He uses his flash to react to Aphelios and cleanses as soon as Leona lands her Q. Now look where the Leona and Aphelios are. Dangerously out of position, and Jhin and Pantheon double kill them. This all stems from having patience with your summoners. This is another great example of using flash as late as possible. Jhin gets rooted by Karma's W, and there's a good chance he dies here if he doesn't flash. The thing is though, he might be able to bait the Aphelios into trying too hard to kill him by using his flash really late. Essentially, getting the most out of your flash defensively creates something offensively. Actually sound like a basketball coach, eh? Now they don't end up killing Aphelios here, but they get back control of the lane because of Jin's use of flash. When your support lands CC onto an enemy ADC, use your cleanse to gap close. As Jhin, you'll be running Nimbus Cloak and Runes, so activating Cleanse might translate to 2 to 3 more auto attacks. If you're against a champion with hard CC, be sure to cleanse after the CC hits you while still moving forward, unlike the first couple of examples in which Jhin was running away. Let's watch this clip again. If Thresh lands a hook, it's go time, but we have to remember to cleanse after Set's E hits us. That way your movement speed isn't interrupted and you can get to Ashe quicker. I'm positive some ADCs would have had to use flash to gap close to Ashe there, but because of Jin's excellent use of cleanse, he still has flash, and Set respects it and flashes out himself. In this early fight, Jhin trades his cleanse for Ashe's flash and is another great example of why you need to start using cleanse when you're on the front foot in a fight. His movement speed is impeded by Ashe's Frost Shot passive, so he cleanses to catch up to her. Remember the effect of Nimbus Cloak. The point again is to use your cleanse when you're on the attack. Yes, it's there in case you get hit by CC, but it can be so useful when the enemy is out of position. Finally, in lanes with little to no CC, choose Heal as your second summoner spell. Heal replenishes your HP and grants 30% bonus movement speed, so it's great not just for escaping ganks, but also to get closer to the enemy to land more auto attacks and abilities when they're caught out. In other words, offensively. Watch this. Set engages onto Karma and Jhin chain CCs her with his W. Thinking they can secure the kill, he heals, which allows him and Set to deal more damage. Karma, though, reacts accordingly and flashes. But if Jhin doesn't heal, maybe Karma doesn't have to flash, and the fight is still won of course, but not as good as it could have been. Remember these 3 tips and use them in your games, guys. Get the push, the diagonal line, and getting the most out of your summoner spells. If you made it this far and enjoyed the video, remember to leave a like before browsing the rest of our content, subscribe so you don't miss out on future tip videos, and have a gander at our website GameLeap.com. Videos, courses, guides, all made by challenger level players and coaches to help you improve your game. This has been Coach Eagz. Until next time, peace.